export to the agriculture. All of those topics have been discussed in great detail. And our next cabinet meeting will be carried out by completing the second term of our cabinet. And after our next cabinet meeting, a comprehensive evaluation of the current situation of Turkey will be shared with our country. As it is the case since the month of March, the most important agenda in our cabinet meeting was coronavirus and its results. As a country who have fought quite successfully all among the countries, as Turkey, we will never give up from precautions and we will continue to be successful. And we have decided a series of precautions, which means tamam in abbreviation. So we will never give up from the precautions of wearing masks, keeping our hygienes, and preserving our social distancing. If we obey to those precautions, then we can prevent further unwanted consequences in our country. Hopefully, we will accomplish putting down the number of new death toll to the level of 0. In the scope of new normalization, we opened the opportunities for each sector, excluding only a couple of ones. From artists to the industrialists, we actually gave them support and enabled them to survive in those troubled times. From monetary aid to the postponement of the credit and the debt payment, all of the necessary resources have been allocated for the well-being of our dear citizens. That's how we try to minimize the negative consequences of this pandemic in our country. The enterprises which halted their operations gradually started to work again. And in terms of the economic conditions, we are seeing that we are going back to the times before the month of March. The similar supports will be continued to be given to our citizens and to our enterprises. By taking this opportunity, I would like to share a couple of precautions that we are going to take. Together with our 926 of our children under the governmental protection and also our people who have fought for our veterans will be assigned to their new working places. I wish that their new job positions will be beneficial for them. As you know, under the title of social protection, we have given more than 6 million Turkish liras as a support to our households. And at the same time, monetary aid and unemployment payments have been allocated to the service of our people with the amount of 18 million Turkish liras. The ones who are benefiting from short-term payments will have a chance to benefit from this aid another month. And at the same time, the monetary aid will be going on for another month for our citizens. In order to boost the development of our young people and enable them to take part in the business life, we will be going on a call for a project, sustainable development. And such kind of projects with the amount of 35 billion Turkish liras will comprise 8 different topics from volunteerism to the industry. The application for such projects can be carried out as of 1st of July from the website of our Ministry of Sport and Young. And Iraq, our neighbor, was among the countries who had been negatively affected by this crisis. Starting with the Turkmens, we will give a helping hand to our neighbor. We will dispatch a cargo which will include any sort of equipments, healthcare equipments, including but not limited to masks and gloves. And by dispatching our cargo, once again, we will show that we are siding by our neighbors and our brotherly countries and neighbors. My august nation and dear citizens, it's not enough to combat against coronavirus only in the field of healthcare services. It is also important that our neighbors should actually reach to the same level of success that we have. When we evaluate and analyze our region, we can say that the pandemic has been contained quite successfully, but unfortunately in Northern and Southern America, the pandemic is going on with its full speed. And our world is actually going through a historical exam with 9 million people being affected and with a death toll of more than 500,000. And the global consensus states that Turkey will be one of the star countries in the post-pandemic period. Our infrastructure in the field of healthcare services and also our general healthcare insurance system is unquestionable. And once again, during this pandemic time, we have once again proven our power of manufacturing. The steps that we are taking both locally and regionally shows us that we have the capability of becoming a regional superpower. Beyond being self-sufficient, Turkey became actually a beam of hope for all of our neighbors. All of the dams and irrigation facilities, our national gardens and our hospitals that we have inaugurated during the times of coronavirus has actually materialized our slogan, "We will never stop and continue to our pathways." Even the inauguration of 500 enterprises is a source of pride for us. 67 billion investment support document, which foresees 110,000 new employment opportunities, is another source of pride for us. We believe that we have a path waiting for us to go through. And in order to enable our country to make use of this crisis, we will work day and night, and hopefully we will accomplish our targets. Our only request from our citizens is that they should abide by the rules and they should embrace their actual professions and their countries so that they can help us. With their great endeavors, I would like to thank all of my citizens who contributed to the development of Turkey, my august nation, distinguished members of the press. Turkey doesn't only have a great potential, but Turkey is also subject to great attacks. And this reality is becoming much more visible, especially during the times of development of Turkey. Let's rethink again what we have gone through in the last 8 years. This picture will be more than enough to prove what I have just stated. Starting from 2013, in which we have increased our national income to the level of $1 trillion, our democracy has been attacked many times, which was actually a part of a grand strategy. And this grand strategy was aiming to divide Turkey and weaken our state. Thanks to God, thanks to the support of the God and the resilience of our citizens, our nation, they couldn't accomplish what they have targeted for. But they never gave up attacking on us. As they couldn't create rebellion on the streets, they tried to divide our nation from inside. Thanks to the perseverance of our nation, they started using the terrorist organization and try to kill our citizens. All the same, nevertheless, they couldn't accomplish what they have aimed for, and they actually made use of our soldiers to carry out a coup attempt. And since they couldn't accomplish even after the coup attempt, and due to the great endeavors of our armed forces, they also gave up from that aim, and they tried to take our economy down, and we also didn't let them accomplish them. Even during the pandemic, they tried to rebel our nation with their false news. Thanks to God, we didn't give any opportunity to the enemies of our nation to bring us down. The People's Alliance, which was formed at the night of 15th of July, has actually undertaken historical responsibilities. By taking this opportunity, once again, I would like to thank Nationalist Movement Party and its general leader, Mr. Devlet Bahçeli. I would like to extend my gratitude to him, because the People's Alliance is actually a role model for solidarity in the Turkish history. With new discourse and with new endeavors, the forces of evil is trying to undermine our democracy. No matter what we are trying to do, we are seeing the same forces of evil against us. We always reiterate that we are open to constructive criticism, but unfortunately what we see is the wall of hostilities. The issues that cannot be even discussed in our country are the issues which are awaiting solutions. If we want the undesired applications to go on and continue, it is not defined as asking for their rights. Unfortunately, the groups which are trying to hide their evil ideologies, we will never allow them to undermine our development. The ones who are destroying the well-being of our nation for the sake of their political careers, we will never allow them to accomplish what they are aiming for. And the reforms with regards to NGOs and the Bars Association is among those topics that actually creates upheaval. The fascist applications of such Bars Association creates huge problems, and in order to prevent such kind of problems, the Parliament as the legislative body and we as the executive branch has huge responsibilities, and we are determined to create a bars association which will be much more representative. That's why we are working on a reform package for the bars association. Our MPs, starting from tomorrow, will give the draft law to be discussed in the parliament. Hopefully, this law will be enacted in the shortest time possible. My august nation and distinguished members of the press, our nation wants from us to correct what is wrong and enable them to realize their dreams. And in order to realize that, we will do whatever it is necessary. Of course, we are aware of our responsibilities, and our responsibilities are in line with the well-being of our nation and with our consciousness. That's why, as we take a step forward, we always take into consideration the expectations of our nation, and we are making cost and benefit analysis after each step that we take. And we are making use of our consultancy mechanisms with the most efficient way possible. When we see that people are coming at us with the constructive criticism, of course, we are not let down, and we take those constructive criticism into consideration. But the ones who don't have such kind of an approach, such kind of a target of developing Turkey, we only say to them, do not set us back, we don't want anything from you, because we will never allow those evil games to let us down and be undermined. In order to evaluate and analyze this crisis period, we will do our best to realize the necessary reforms. Both in our general headquarters and also in our parliament, such kind of reform studies are going on, and when the time is mature and due, we will share those information with our nation, and we will never give up fighting until we reach to a time that Turkey becomes even more stronger. As we try to serve to our nation and to our country, unfortunately, certain people are attacking our national values ignominiously, and they are trying to normalize the deviations, the historical deviations, in order to poison the minds of our young people. The ones who are supporting such marginal approaches are the partners of the aforesaid deviations. We will never allow, and we also would like to say that there is no possibility that such deviations and marginal movements will take root in our nation. Against the ones who are supporting such deviations, I once again would like to remind my citizens to be alert at all time. In addition to the economic traps, our nation should continue to fight against the attacks on its national values, and we are competent to give such a fight. Mehmet Akif Ersoy said that the fight of preserving our national values is the greatest fight, and only after that fight our nation will be independent. That is our mentality. And I pray for God to protect our nation from such deviations and the consecutive social disasters. My august nation and distinguished members of the press, health is the thing that we know of its value only after we lose it. That's why we should never be overcome by the languor in these times of outbreak. But on the other hand, we never ignore the fact that our people and our citizens should continue working in order to earn their lives. And we always taken our decisions by taking into consideration the well-being and general health of our citizens, but from now on, we also will take into consideration the economic consequences of this outbreak. Our nation has, our citizens has fulfilled all the sacrifices that they are expected from them to do. And we all see that the rules are abided by, although there are certain exceptions. So from now on, what is expected from us to enable that those sacrifices are not done in vain. These times once again have shown that we are a strong country economically. Although we have lost the first quarter economically, we have accomplished great things economically. The normalization process, which has been initiated at the month of June, has been completed, and the indicators show us that our economy is at the pace of recovery. Of course, the month of June, in terms of the sectoral confidence index, have shown a level of increase by 32%. And the consumer confidence index has increased by 5.2%. And the real sector confidence index has increased by 15.7%, reaching to the level of 96%. With comparison to the month of May, our manufacturing industry has reached to the level of 66%. One of the most important economic indicators, the electricity consumption in the industrial organized sites, increased 20%. And at the same time, we receive good news from abroad. There is an increasing demand for the Turkish products, which become much more visible. The first 3 months of first 3 weeks of June has shown 20% of export increase, and we are doing our best in order to preserve our income in the tourism sector, in the tourism season. And of course, I also would like to say that we didn't recover all of our losses, but we are doing our best. And once again, I would like to underline that it is not enough for us to overcome this outbreak. The countries with whom we are trading should go back to normal as well. What is important is that we should be ready for the upcoming period. When we analyze our situation in realistic terms, what we see is that we are well prepared and we are in an advantageous situation. And we believe to the skills and competencies of our country, and we trust in the endeavors of our citizens, and we are committed to our targets. In terms of democracy and economic development, we are determined to make Turkey one of the greatest nations. We will never allow the forces of evil to accomplish what they have aimed for, and we will let them to go down in their case. I pray for God to help us. With those sentences in my mind, I conclude my speech, and once again I pray for God that our discussions that we have carried out in our cabinet meeting would be proven beneficial to our country. Once again, I'd like to extend my gratitude to each one of you.